We might get my friend Trevor might come on. He's one of my work
Trevor?
colleagues.
Trevor?
He's an Arsenal fan with an ardent view on the season.
Oh, okay.
Guys, welcome to everybody on a Friday night, and I hope you guys are doing well. We're going into a long weekend. It's the last weekend of the Premier League season, so big shout out to everybody who's slogged through it from day one all the way to the end. I just want to welcome Tony, my partner in crime. What's going on, Tony, man? Big up to you.
All good, brother. All good. Pleasure to be here.
And Neil, how are you getting on, Neil? What's going on, man? Good to see you, bro.
Yeah, a bit of a strange week, but I won't go into it because it involves lasers being shot into my eyes. So yeah, we'll say no more. Yeah, because I got glaucoma, so I had to go to the hospital for some laser treatment.
Yeah.
And what they do is they shoot a laser into your eye. But I didn't count the right eye, but the left eye, they shot it 107 times.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And after that, I was
That's
feeling
nuts.
really weird for the week. So I haven't been to the gym. I haven't done nothing because my face was feeling tingly. Just to walk up the stairs, couple steps, I felt like a 70-year-old man. I was knackered. A couple steps, I was knackered. So it's just recovering from that, but I'm kind of getting there now, so which is good. So I'll be back at the gym come Monday, hopefully. But anyway, that's enough depressing stuff.
Excellent. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to everybody, man. I hope you guys have all had a good weekend. We're going to talk about, okay, who have we got here?
Hello, guys.
Nice.
It's my friend Trevor that I was talking about.
Man.
See?
Can't see you. It's dark, man.
Very
dark.
Yeah,
you wear glasses because there we go.
That's better.
I could see the light shining off your glasses, and that's all I could see.
How you doing, Trevor?
How are you guys, man?
Yeah, we're doing good,
man.
We're
doing good, man.
Yes.
Getting ready for the weekend. Getting ready for the final day.
It's going to be a busy one.
Oh, where's everyone's gonna be at?
So Apollo, he'll be at the Emirates. Neil's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
Neil is consoling himself in the fact that he can no longer
Thursday nights, man. We're on Thursday nights. That's what we are. Thursday nights. Yay! Looking forward to it. Yeah. No, seriously, this week, when it comes to the footy, I'm going to be concentrating on the bottom three because whatever we do is not going to make a difference to our position now. So it's the bottom three. I want to see Everton go down. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I'd join you on that one. I'd be overjoyed to see Everton go down.
Yeah.
And Apollo, you're gonna go then.
So what's the situation? Yeah, I mean, look, I would just want to go and have a little bit of fun. I put a video on the channel today just saying to everybody, just go and enjoy the last weekend. Plenty to be happy about, plenty to enjoy, lots of good memories.
Yeah.
And it's a season that we can build from and move on. So that's where I think for me, this weekend's going to be party time. We're going to have fun, man.
Okay, I hear that. I'm kind of coming from a different angle.
In terms of
I don't know.
Oh, which angle are you coming from?
I'm coming from more of a. I do get, and I understand you'd want to go there to enjoy. You've got your ticket, you paid your money. I fully understand that, but what is your stance on everything? Firstly,
on everything with Arsenal.
This sounds like a political thing.
The season as a whole, so that includes both windows, the start and the middle. How was it as a whole for you?
I think first of all, it was a remarkable season considering that you had the team that had the same age as we got some feedback there from someone in the studio. Considering that we had the team which is the same age as Southampton, youngest team in the league, and one of them was battling Man City for the title, and the other one clearly relegated and dropped off the rest of the league by 7 points. So that goes to show the difference in the age gap. The experience that they've picked up in this season has been remarkable. It's been tremendous. In terms of winning the league, I thought that this team could do it, but they couldn't get over Man City. Man City have thoroughly beat them 3 times this season, and not one of those games were even close. And the last game was a knockout punch. I mean, Arsenal, they had one of the best starts in Premier League history. You can't ask for anything more than that. You simply cannot.
It's true.
But being realistic, we don't have the experience to even last that stage. Manchester
It's not
City
even the experience. It's not even the experience. It's the
experience. It's the experience. And that
Look,
goes for the squad. This team is still rebuilding.
We have a lot more experience. Yeah, we've come second on a few occasions. We've won it once, but the bottom line is, it's too hard to compete against a team like City. I mean, look,
it is.
They can play their second team and still come close to winning the league all season.
Yeah,
that's how good they are.
That's the reality.
And how do you compete with a team like
Arsenal, that? And that's it. And we couldn't. And some Arsenal fans think, oh, we had an 8-point lead. Well, it wasn't an 8-point lead because they had a game in hand, which meant that if it was 5 points, and then you had to play Man City, which is a team you can't beat. And there's no disrespect to that, the fact that you're not good enough to beat them. They are the best team in Europe. 26 games unbeaten. They've won 16 out of their last 17 games. I mean, that's incredible. And so they beat you, and then the gap's only 2 points. Yeah, it's. So I don't have anything. I don't feel bad about what happened. I feel like that we can learn a lot from the experience. But looking at how good Manchester City are, how on earth could anybody think that we could overturn a team like that? I mean,
you know, you had your chances. I mean, you had your chances. You did have a lead, and unfortunately, you dropped a few more games. But apart from that, I mean, you did well. You were on top of the league for a long time. Yeah.
What does that count for?
It shows that you're a much better team than you were last season and the season before.
Yeah.
That's what it accounts for, which means that you can build from that and move forward. Yeah.
What is it? At the beginning
of the season, right before the season started, did you guys think that you were going to come second or even lead the league for so long? The answer would have been no. None of you would have guessed it. Yeah, but you lot came out guns blazing. Yeah, and nobody could keep up with you for a long time.
I understand that as well, and I do get when everyone says, "Oh, like, at the start of the season we didn't expect to be here," but you know, football's a reactionary sport as well, and you know that at the end of the day, when you're there in the moment, it has to be taken. When Leicester won the league, we beat them back to back, home and away. They were they a better team than us? No, but they managed to get past the line, and I think it's just a mentality thing with the team. I just feel like last season as well.
It's not a mentality thing. Think about it, right? The one constant is City winning the league. If City weren't in the league, you guys would have won it hands down. Yeah, City. Remember, City are they won it. This is the 3rd season in a row. Yeah, that's the difference.
5 out of 6. 5 out of the last 6 seasons.
But this is the 3rd one in a row they've won it. Yeah, you can't. No matter how good you are, and no matter what you do, right? It's not going to change that fact that City are that much better than everybody else.
Yeah, and the fact is, you brought up Leicester. Well, Leicester won the league with 81 points, and how many points do Arsenal have? 81. So it just goes to show you that the season that we're put in by no means was a bad season, but the target, and everybody talked about this previously before, the target to win in this league, if you don't have a minimum of 90 points, you ain't winning this league. And you can ask,
Yeah.
we got a Liverpool fan right there in the corner, and he'll tell
That's
you,
true.
if you're
That's
not
true.
coming in with a minimum of 90 points, you ain't winning this league.
That's true. But at the end of the day,
And the thing
what
is,
City have won
and the
it with
thing
less
is,
points than they
we-
did last season and the season before. It shows how, and
But
they've
the
had
thing is,
they've had a
City-
bad season
well, no, I wouldn't say no. They haven't had a
compared
bad
to the
season
other
because
season.
when
No,
I did-
compared to the other seasons,
No.
they've dropped more. They've dropped more
No.
points this season than they have in the other seasons.
No, I made a video on this channel, which in November, and it talked about the last 4 seasons. Liverpool have averaged, Manchester City have averaged losing 4 games and having around 4 draws.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
and how many games have they lost? They've lost 4 games and had 5 draws,
4
which
games,
is
yeah.
consistent over the last 3 years. So they
Okay.
haven't played any worse. Yeah. But for me, when I talked about Arsenal could win the league, that was at that time before Christmas, we had only drawn 2 games and lost 1. And that's why I was like, boy, if City's going to lose 4 or 5 games, and we can do this. But the difference is
But it's like
Arsenal
City have been dropping points through the season. They dropped points at Brentford, they dropped points at Everton. So it was possible for them to drop points. And it was games like the Aston Villa and the Bournemouth where I felt where that is where we're gonna win. I felt that's where the managers got the team across the line where we thought it's not happening. And I feel like it's moments like that you need to take through the season. And it's even even if we have lost the season to a very, very good City team, run them to the ground, run them to the last day. That is all you ask for. So this means for nothing. So you're saying 83 points. We still haven't accustomed more points than Pochettino did when he went up against Conte's team, Chelsea record-breaking team, and he had a younger squad. And we still haven't amounted that many points. He had what was it, 86? We still haven't amounted that. So it's like last season as well, we saw it where it was even worse, and it was adding salt into the wounds where it was Tottenham pipping over us, but it was the mentality that where the manager's not in-game management was naive, and he didn't allow us to get across the line. I don't think he has it I don't think he has it in him to get us across the line when it needs to get to the nitty-gritty, and you need a winner, somebody that these guys are going to look up to, and they're going to feel inspired. They're going to feel scared to not go out and perform. How can we go out against City and perform like that?
Yeah, but the thing is, you're talking about City. Yeah, you're talking about City.
Well-
City are the one team that everybody has problems
We're
with.
the best. We've been the best team in this league. You said it yourself. 93, we've been on top. We've been beating the team.
No,
We've
you're
beat
right.
every single rival. We've won every derby.
No, you haven't been. You haven't been
hold
the
on,
best team.
hold on, guys.
Yeah, you started off as
Hold
the
on,
best team, but you haven't been the best team because City have
we
won the
started
league.
off-
That
yeah.
shows that they've been the
Okay,
best
that's
team.
why I
There's
said
two
we've been.
things
That's why I
there.
said we've been. Okay, cool. We've
Yeah.
been. My bad. We're not
Guys,
obviously now,
guys,
but we
guys.
was.
There's 2 things there. The first thing is that Real Madrid, who had no injuries at all, walked into these guys' lines then and got played off the park. The biggest loss that they've had in the Champions League in years, 4-0. That's the levels we're talking about. I know we're talking about Arsenal, but for comparisons, look at what they did to Real Madrid. And the other thing on top of that is Man City suffered no injuries. No injuries this season. Arsenal had 10 players out for more than 10 for more than 2 months. 10 players.
But
10
Apollo,
players out for more than
City,
2 months.
City barely rotate their
if
squad
City-
though. City.
No, but even if City
City
did
has
have
the highest
injuries,
rotation squad in the league.
yeah, but even if
They
they
have the
did
high
have
rotation.
injuries,
Arsenal have the lowest.
they've got a second squad that is equal to most first squads in the league. Yeah. So they played a couple of games without KDB. They put him on the bench a couple of games. Yeah, and they've still won their games. That's the difference. That's the difference with quality with City and the rest of the league. Everybody can say
Football is
never
90
started-
minutes though. Football is
You know-
90 minutes. It's a game of 90 minutes. Who wants it more on that day?
Yeah, but the thing is, City have proved they've wanted it more
So
throughout the whole
that's-
season.
Everton have proved they wanted it more and got a point.
No,
Brentford have moved. They've wanted it with their
Neil,
own.
hold on. Neil, hold
One at
on.
a time, please.
Neil, hold on. City have proved they've wanted it more. Smith Rowe's been out for 4 months. Jesus has been out for 3.5 months. Saliba's been out for 2.5 months. I mean, the list just goes on. Tomiyasu's been out for 4 months. The list just goes on and on. We've had 10 players out for an average of 2 months. And you're the youngest team in the league. You're the most inexperienced team with the most inexperienced manager. That's what we're up against. That's reality. That's the facts. That's
yeah,
what
but
we're up against.
the thing is, you're
There is nothing. That is it, Neil. That's it. That's
yeah,
it.
but the thing is,
You're
right?
trying to beat the best team, yeah, and then you've got all these fires you're trying to put out.
Look, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah?
We've been there. We've been pipped to the post twice by 1 point. Yeah, we've been there, and we've got a more experienced squad. Yeah, we've got a better manager as well, right? It just proves what we are all going up against when you're comparing us to City, or you guys to City, or United to City. Whoever you're comparing to City, that's what you're going up against. Yeah, if you haven't got the squad size itself and the amount of quality players, you may do well. You like you guys, you were on top of the league for so long. Yeah, but when City decide to kick in, if they don't lose a game, what are you going to do? If they don't, you know what I mean? If they're churning out win after win after win, especially against the top 6 teams, what are you going to do?
So how come Chelsea beat them in a Champions League final?
What, this year?
No, but Chelsea beat them in a Champions League final.
Right. Okay. So
Champions
Chelsea.
Final. The squad's not. The squad is not very. It's not that different. It just has Haaland.
But Chelsea is a different team. I mean, realistically,
Why?
before
The team was in disarray when they won it.
Yeah, Chelsea are the only other team.
Yeah, but you just said that they just had Haaland in it.
Yeah, but Chelsea are the only other team that could realistically compete with City financially and with players. Look how many players they've got. Yes, they haven't got the right players playing the right football at this moment in time, but they can afford almost any player that City can afford.
They won the Champions League with Kai Havertz as a 9. Come on.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, they deserve it.
Yeah, but it's possible.
They deserve it.
Yeah, all right. So far, they've been playing. What?
Yeah,
Neil, they rotate. What? So that went too quick. I was trying to read that and talk at the same time, and I can't flipping multitask. I'm not good at multitasking. Yeah.
I just feel like the aim of elite sport.
That's normally my job, Neil, but my voice is not too
Right, so they rotate a lot. And Arteta, who is part of the training staff at City, ought to have adopted a similar strategy. You're right, but what you've also got to understand is that when Arteta came to Arsenal, he stepped out of Pep's shadow and he wanted to prove he was a different manager, but just as good. So he's got to go his own way. You may not agree with it, but if he followed and did exactly what Pep did, there's no guarantee that you would have done any better or any worse. But he's got to prove himself as a manager. He can't take over a team and everybody starts saying, well, that's what Pep would have done because you worked under Pep and you learned from Pep. He's got to make his own niche in the market. And that's what he's doing.
In the process, though, Neil, listen, he's 4 years in the process. He's bought 21. He's bought 21 of his own players. And he won, by the way,
He's only been a manager for 3 years, bro.
Okay, 3 full
seasons.
He's
only been a manager for 3 years.
Three full seasons. And he took the team a half season. Unai Emery's team and won the FA Cup. And we gave him a leeway for that. You know that. If he didn't win the FA Cup, you know he would have been in line for the sack. So anyways, I'm just saying, I'm not Arteta out, by the way. I'm not Arteta out. I do feel like we need someone elite to push us past the line, because I was just about to ask Apollo and Tony, where do you think this manager's taking us? Where do you think
he's already taken us?
He's taking you.
I think
so far, he's taking you back into Champions League.
Yeah.
He's taking you back into Champions League.
That's right. Yeah.
He showed that.
I think he can win the league, but it's going to be extremely tough.
He showed if he can.
It's going to be extremely tough considering.
If he can continue with the consistency he's had, if he can continue with the consistency he's had, you guys do have a chance of winning the league. But then again, we're talking about City. Yeah, we're talking about, no matter what we do, City is the hurdle that you have to overcome. And they've already shown it's damn hard. Look how many times they've won the league. Yeah, the only thing they haven't won is Champions League.
I think there's.
Well, let's be real.
And that's been real.
let's be real.
Yeah.
As Apollo said before, we had the youngest team with the most inexperienced, with the youngest manager. Let's not say inexperienced. The most youngest man. By the way, I think he's a great coach. I don't think he's a very good manager. But as I'm going on to the next point, I just feel like, and we did that, and we pushed City that far, and we were in on top for that long. So do you not think, number one, not Arteta out, by the way, with a more experienced manager, with a winner's mentality, and an owner who actually decides to actually dip into his pocket, the billionaire owner that we have decides to actually dip into his pocket and actually financially back this squad, do you not think we can compete with City?
So let me ask you this question, Trevor. Why didn't Real Madrid beat Man City? Because the more experienced coach, the most celebrated, most winningest coach of all time is at Real Madrid. The club with the biggest finance outside of Manchester City, with the best squad outside of Manchester City, is at Real Madrid. And they got squashed 4-0. Please tell me, how are Arsenal supposed to compete with Man City?
How much have Real Madrid spent in the last 5? And how much have we?
Let me land my point. Everything you've just asked of Arsenal to have exists already at Real Madrid. Yet they fell sadly short of being even close to competitive against that team.
Okay, cool. And that's the leeway you can give them. But listen, they have been successful whilst we have not. So listen, at the end of the day, we know what we have to do to compete. We just don't do it. That's the sad thing about it.
Yeah,
And
but
then we have to
okay,
sit-
so you say that, right? But is that all about Arteta? What about the team? They're the
I
ones
didn't
who
I
are
didn't
actually
say
on
it's
the
all. I
pitch.
didn't say it's all about Arteta.
No,
because
I'm just saying. What about the team? Because those players are the ones that are on the pitch. Are you saying that he's not selecting the right players?
I've had a conversation with Tony before. I feel obviously the personnel needs a clearing. It still needs a clearing. I feel like there's too many fringe players there, and I feel like there's too many players that have just run their course and they don't need to be there.
Right.
I think it needs a full refresh.
Yeah. So he can't do anything unless there are finances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So he can only do what he can do with the squad that he's got at this moment in time. Oh, hold on. Sorry, one sec. I can't hear you because there's some background noise. What's that background noise?
Can you hear
No,
me?
it's gone now. Go on. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was trying to say. So who is lacking the ambition here?
Are you saying that Arteta is lacking ambition?
No, I'm saying, so who is lacking the ambition here then?
So can I address that point? Because I've
Go on.
literally just come off another pod with Cannon Fodder, Alex, and we've been discussing what is the problem. Is it Stan Kroenke, or is it people outside of Arteta who are given the task of managing the squad? Because that's where we ultimately fail. We fail because we don't have the resources required to give Arteta sufficient resources to compete against a squad like Manchester City, a squad which currently is nowhere near big enough or strong enough to make anything of a decent run in the Champions League next season without concerted effort and changes within it. So here's my analogy. 1 year before Arteta came to Arsenal, there was a guy there called Unai Emery. And he wanted a player named Wilfred Zaha. But somebody made a decision that we won't buy Wilfred Zaha. We're going to buy Nicolas Pepe for 72 million of Stan Kroenke's money. Stan Kroenke is not the decision maker on who they're buying. Now, we all know some of them people who were making those decisions, like Raul Sanelli, are no longer at the club. But what has happened is we have ended up, because of some of these middle people, with players who A, shouldn't be at the club, or B, are at the club and should never have been there in the first place.
Quickly,
right. So let me just add. Go on.
Because I may have to go. So I'm just saying, lastly, to just end it, we smashed down Highbury, and I told you, Tony, I've told you this before. We smashed down Highbury, and we got promised we will compete with the likes of Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. Since then, all we've done is qualify for the UEFA Champions League and get embarrassed by them teams we got told we was going to compete with. So this absolute complete lies, and we've just been a seller club, selling to the clubs that were progressing and watching us die down. It's nearly 19 years now, and we are deprived of glory and success and how we used to be.
You
So,
know what?
yeah,
It could be worse for you guys. It could be a lot
it's
worse
at
for
the
you
end of
guys.
the no,
Yeah.
we are a big club. It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah,
It should never be like
listen.
that.
When I say it could be a lot worse for you guys, right? You could have someone who owns you like Todd Bowley, right? Look what he's done. No, I'm being serious.
But that's only been a
Finances.
year, though. That's been a
Yeah,
year.
yeah. It's only been a year, but where are Chelsea right now?
It's true, but where have they
Yeah?
been for the last 5 to 10 years? Where have they
No,
that, Tony? Where have you been for the last 5 to 10 years?
This is
Winning
their
in
worst.
Europe and winning Premier Leagues.
Yeah, but this is their worst season by far.
You're
And you've
just
had
saying that
somebody
because
like
in the last 5 to 10 years you've actually won in Europe and you've won the league. Like the aim of a league is to win, not to compete.
No. You guys will compete when the time is right. Yeah.
We
When the
competed
time
this
is right.
year. It's time to
Yeah.
win. We competed this year. It's time to win.
Do you know what?
I love your passion, Trevor. I love your passion.
You're going against teams, man. Go on. Sorry, Tony.
I would love to agree and say, you know, look, we've underperformed this season, but we haven't. We've overperformed based on what our expectations were at the start of the season. As a club, we are miles behind where we should have been. And yes, you are right to say that we were promised that the move to the Emirates was going to make us a more competitive team against the big guns like Man United, Barcelona, and Real Madrid. But it has failed dismally. Something that cannot be attributed to Stan Kroenke because he wasn't.
Listen, we
responsible for that.
We underachieved in the business end of the season, Tony. We
Yes.
didn't underachieve for night, but we did it last year as well. We didn't have the minerals to beat Southampton, West Ham. I can give a pass on the Anfield because it's not easy to go to Anfield and
okay.
win.
Let me retort to that. Let me give you the
City
retort
had nothing
to that.
to do with them games.
Okay. So let me give you the retort to that. In terms of we didn't have the minerals, yeah? You are aware today that Bukayo Saka has played the last month with a damaged Achilles, yeah?
Whose fault is that?
He won't be playing on Sunday.
Whose fault is that? Right. We overrun the kid.
Fault?
That's our fault. We overrun the kid. Our manager doesn't even know how to give him a break.
Right. So it's not about minerals, my brother. It's about resources. Yeah, because
we had Reece Nelson on the bench, though.
Has shown us that they got the minerals. We beat every team in the league with the exception of 2. Every team in the league.
We've had Reece. We've known for ages he's been overrunning Bukayo Saka. We've known for ages. He doesn't even want to take him off when he stinks. Literally. And he's had Reece Nelson who can fittingly jump in there, and he's just signed a new contract. Oh, he's going to sign a new contract. I hope he doesn't, because he needs to go on to bigger and better things, because being at Arsenal and sitting on the bench is not good for him. He's not going to progress. He's had a million injuries anyway, so I think we need to move past that as well. And Emil Smith-Rowe. This is not a voluntary work. This is not voluntary work. Like, we need to move the dead weight. And I feel like Reece Nelson he's not it. He's not ready. He's not ready. Are we gonna expect Reece Nelson to come off the bench in the Champions League and make a difference against Bayern Munich? No. So listen, we need to start moving on. So even I think that's wrong, signing the kid up to a contract anyway. You're just misleading him, same as Eddie Nketiah. Like, saying that you believe in him, we trust in him. You don't trust in him because you've outrun Eddie Nketiah and you've outrun Bukayo Saka, and you've given Reece Nelson 10 minutes there, 5 minutes there, 8 minutes there, 20 minutes there. What's that gonna do for the kid? What's that going to do for him? What's that going to do for his confidence? Smash it. He played good against Nottingham Forest. He gets benched the next game. It's the manager. I don't know, man. The manager's in-game management is not good enough. Like, is it good enough to win us the Champions League?
We can agree to that. I can agree. His in-game management is not good.
I don't know.
So T, I've been patiently waiting at the side because I don't have the energy to even try and talk over you guys. So I just thought I'd let you guys say what you're saying. The fact of the matter is, as Tony mentioned with Real Madrid, they couldn't get over these guys. Real Madrid's earnings this year is 714 million euros. No team in the world is making more money than Real Madrid in terms of profits, merchandise, and we're not talking about how rich a club's owners are. We're talking about how cash rich the team is. Yeah, so that's how much money that they've earned, and they got ripped to pieces. This is about Arsenal. Like I said to you, there are caveats here. Inexperience, number one. Number two, injuries, an abundance of them to core players, not bench players, core players. Yeah. And then on top of that, when you look at the factor of the and this probably goes back to inexperience, the manager hasn't always made the best decisions. He has done really well. Before Christmas, after the World Cup, after 17 games, only lost one game and drawn one game. We had the best start of any team in the Premier League. Any team, the best start.
What
Put
did
the
that
numbers
account
up
for? We
against
didn't win
any
nothing
team.
then.
We had the best start in history.
No,
But
James,
this is what the manager has achieved. So you're talking about the manager, and I'm saying
And
the
it's taken
manager
him how long to
didn't
do
always
it?
get it right. But what?
We finished
He's
eighth.
only got 3 years experience.
Fifth.
There is no other manager. Yeah, there is no. By the way, when over the team, we were in 14th place. Yeah, there is no other manager in the league or in the Champions League with less experience than Arteta. He has the least experience. So what you do, you don't. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Right. So what you do, guys, is you don't take the least experienced manager who's been able to achieve a battle with the best team in this league, who's won 5 out of the last 6. You don't take him and then say, yeah, thanks, we'll take it from here. And I said this in the video that I uploaded on the channel. What you do is you empower him. You find out what's working with what he's doing, how he's been able to get the team to be this competitive, and you nurture it. That's what you do in business. That's what you do in sports. And, you know, unfortunately, there's not a lot of fans who are probably experienced on a business level. But what I'm saying is, if you take every company, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Tesla, any company in the world, and say, well, this guy brought our sales, he tripled our sales within the first 3 years. But you know what? We got rid of him because we didn't think he had enough to cut the mustard. Nobody does that.
What people need to understand,
Nobody does that.
what people need to understand, since the inception of the Premier League, right? Football is not football anymore. It's always been a business. Each team is a business. They have to run themselves as a business. And unless you've got a rich playboy who comes in with loads of money to just throw around because he's rich, every other team has to work within their finances. Yeah, and that's going to affect behind the board and on what's happening on the pitch as well. The players that come in, it's all about what you can afford and what you can do with what you've got. That's why you normally get a great manager to make the most of the plays that you've got using his skill as a manager. But not every team's going to do that.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Neil. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is a requirement which shows you what winners are made of. It is not one instance or maybe two. It's an amalgamation of owner backing, management backing,
Exactly.
the training squad, the players that you accumulate. And it's all of that put together, which is the reason why Man City are doing what they do. Not to mention, you know, we're not going to discuss the 115 charges which go back to 2000, and I'm not going to discuss that on the channel. But it's an amalgamation of all these different factors that have been able to get them to this point. But when you get somebody like Todd Bowley coming in, money doesn't work, guys. Yeah, I'm a Washington Skins fan. Money doesn't work. If you get a rich owner who's a fan of the team and he starts throwing money in there, it doesn't guarantee any success.
No,
and
money.
I'm a Washington fan.
I kind of disagree. Money does work, right? But you got to know how to use your money. You got to get the most out of your money and bring in the best people. Todd Bowley's just gone out and just bought player after player after player. He clearly knows nothing about football. Yeah, he's just got a whole load of money with him and the other investors, and they've just gone out. They clearly didn't listen to any of the managers there. They just went out and bought players and putting those players on 6-7 year contracts. Come on, who does that? Yeah, just to get around FFP. So clearly he just thinks, if I throw a whole load of money at it, he's going to keep the fans quiet, and we're going to do well. No, leave the football to the people who know about football. Bring in the players. Leave that to the people who know about bringing in the players. Don't go at they're thinking now you own a club. You can go and buy any player you want, and that's going to improve the club. Especially if you don't know how good these players are. And clearly, he's shown he doesn't know what he's doing. And that's where Chelsea have gone wrong.
So we've got a bit of time on our hands because we're ad-libbing here. So for some reason, Drew hasn't turned up, so we're not drinking. So I'm just going to go.
I'm drinking. I got my port, man. I got my port.
I hope you guys can see the screen. I hope you can see the screen well. So this is the biggest spenders in Premier League in the last 10 years. In 2014, it was Tottenham. Really never brought them any thought. It just goes to show if you don't know what you're doing with the money, it ain't worth nothing.
You're not
Manchester United in 2014-15 were the biggest spenders. And you can see here Herrera, Luke Shaw, Savic, Rojo, Di Maria, Bind, Valdez. Again, it didn't amount to nothing. Manchester City was the highest spend in 16, but look at what they brought in. Sterling. They brought in, De Bruyne, Sterling. They brought in Otamendi, but Sterling and De Bruyne, big spends there. But the year after that, they were also the biggest spenders, where they brought in Gundogan, they brought in Zinchenko, Sane, Moreno, John Stones, Bravo, and Jesus. And then 2018, Manchester City again. So they were the highest spenders in the league. Yeah, Edison, Kyle Walker, Luis, Dinalo,
Liverpool
Mendy,
kind of. Liverpool kind of.
They brought in Bernardo Silva. Yeah, that's because they spent 165 million. But I think it was that the year that they sold Coutinho.
Yeah.
No, they sold him before that, which accumulated the 140 million that they. So they spent the most, but money was from Coutinho, which meant that you were doing business well. That's the reason why Chelsea was topping the spending when they won the Champions League, because they sold Hazard. Which brings me on to again Man United. They brought in Maguire, Bissaka, Bruno Fernandes, James, and they ended up finishing the Premier League second. High spenders after that was Turner, Chidwell, Silva, Havertz, Mendy. But then we can see what happened. It was Arsenal in 2001, 2022. That's when Arsenal made that big splash. Ben White, Odegaard, Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Tavares, and Lokonga. And so we're seeing a correlation, aren't we? We're seeing you go big, you spend big, and then it trickles into some kind of winning the title, winning the Champions League.
Chelsea reversed that buck. Chelsea reversed that buck this season. I mean, look at who they brought in. Look how much they've spent.
They did, but in 2020, 2021, when they spent 222 million, they won the Champions League the year after. Do you see what I'm saying? Season again, Chelsea. So, so you can see there's definitely a correlation of quite a few teams on that list, actually, who had just, let's go in and spend some money. And Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City, all been successful in that regard. Arsenal was on that list once, but then they've come from eighth place, back-to-back finishes, and then chase Man City. So there's definitely a correlation there, guys. And it just means this summer is going to be open season. It's going to be open season. And boy, if we thought that the January and last summer was big, wait until you see, because Chelsea's broken the market. Whichever way you look at it, they've broken the market. Mason Mount is a guy who, I mean, how is Mason Mount worth 80 million? If Mason Mount's worth 80 million, Arsenal can get 70, 80 million for Smith Rowe.
Do you know, players like that are only worth as much as a team is willing to play. Yes, we kind of think, well, he's not worth that, but we're not the ones who are buying. Yeah, it's the teams that are out there are buying. If the team goes out there and says, yes, we'll buy him for 80 million, then to them he's worth that money. You know, it's to them it's not a waste. It's only a waste is if he gets injured that following season or he's just totally crap. But at the time they are buying, because we look at lots of players. Look at Jack Grealish when City bought him. We all laughed when we heard how much they spent on him. But to be honest, the second half of the season, he's actually started to come good. You know, to City, the way he's producing now, he was worth that money. You know, but would any other team pay that money for him?
I did tell you about Gakpo, didn't I? I did tell you about Gakpo, didn't I?
Yeah. But as I said to you, there are players out there, yes, including Gakpo, that, as far as I'm concerned, they need to be at a team for a season before I can make my own judgment on it, because I've got to see them play for a whole season. See, you know, especially when it gets cold, players get injured a lot easier than when it's cold, right? Yeah, players don't even want to come out. What was his name? Was it Rubinho that went to City? And you could see he couldn't stand the cold. He could not stand the cold. Always out in his gloves, and he wasn't there that long. He was gone. He was gone to sunnier climes. You know, some players can't take that heat, the cold and stuff.
Victor says, no, Apollo, that isn't representative of how much did City sell to spend. Well, in the beginning, because look, everyone likes to talk about they did really well last year when they sold their players, didn't they? But they haven't had to spend much. In fact, the last 4 seasons that I put up on that list, Man City wasn't the top spenders. Do you know why?
No.
Because they spent the bulk of that money in the 7 years when and not just that, but they were the highest spenders when Mancini was there, when Ranieri was there.
Mark Hughes loved a bit of cash, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, they just threw money at the wall and they just threw crap on the wall and saw what stuck. And there's another thing, Victor, which brings me on to my other point. Arsenal had only kept 2 clean sheets in the last 15 games. I mean, the defense was horrendous. This was before Saliba even got injured. Saliba missed the last 10 games. But before that, Arsenal were hemorrhaging goals. And by no means, there's so many different reasons why we couldn't win the league this season. A lot of it is because of what happened with Man City. Some of it is the injuries. Some of it is blamed on the manager's choices and lack of rotation. But the defense went into the can. And I said this months ago, I said, if we keep leaking goals like this, there's no way we can win the league. And right now, you can see that coming to fruition. But my point goes to Pep Guardiola. When he realized Man City didn't have the defense, he spent 400 million on defense 1 season. 1 year, he spent 400 million, bringing in Mendy, Kyle Walker, all them guys. It's incredible what you can do when you've got that wealth of money. You can fix problems with the flick of a snap of a finger. And unfortunately, other teams don't have the ability to do that. It takes time. So I'll have to stick with my point there. We've got the Champions Journey saying hi, Tony. Shout out to you. Big shout out, my brother. But that was the biggest thing for me, guys, is that when you look at the defense, lack of clean sheets and everything, Arsenal could not sustain a challenge. They just was leaking too many goals in. Go back to teams that, we were falling behind with. Sorry, guys. I'm still ailing from last week. Letting goals in the first 90 seconds or 60 seconds at home, you could see from there that we were mentally starting to buckle, that the chinks in the armor started weakening, and it just got worse and worse and worse, and we never recovered from it. It only got worse.
Well, the net outlay, that's just a little bit short of $1 billion. Whew. Wow. How is anybody to compete with that apart from Chelsea? How can anybody compete with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's net. I mean, overall it was 1.7 billion.
Yeah.
So
but still the net
and unfortunately
net is always less than
we can't talk. And unfortunately, we can't discuss the 115 charges against them since 2009 because that case is still ongoing. So we can't really talk about that because, they're not innocent, they're not guilty, and we have to let that show its way through. But it does show how extremely tough it is to win when you're dealing with something like that. It's just incredible. And I've been a big admirer of Liverpool Football Club for a while, and I've talked about them on this channel quite a bit because, first of all, Klopp is one of my favorite managers. I wanted him to manage Arsenal after Wenger, and it didn't happen. But, one of the best Liverpool teams I've seen in history lost by a point to these guys.
Yeah,
that's the levels.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is that we've got a lot more experience and you've got a better manager than you, and they still beat us by a point. It just shows how strong City are. It doesn't matter how strong you are and how good you are, right? You're talking about a team who are stronger and better. It's very difficult to beat them, and they've won it for so many six out of 7 seasons. Yeah, you can't argue with that. Yeah, you can't argue it. The only way you can beat City properly is if they went through a whole load of injuries for most of the season with most of their players. Yeah, that's the only way. But they have too many players.
Yeah.
When their top players do get put on the bench for a game, 2 games, you don't even notice that they're not even there. Look at their last game. How many first-team players did they have on that bench? And they still won the game against Chelsea.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I did cover this when I did cover this when I talked about the squad rotation, which City have the best in the league. Their players start an average of 24 to 27 games per season, which means for 10 games, they don't start. They don't start. And then we're talking about Bukayo Saka now, who started every single game. There's just no comparison, is there?
You can't. If you haven't got the squad size and depth, it's very difficult to compete. You have to hope that your first team never gets injured and they always have the energy to go from the first game to the last game, which is very difficult once you get 3/4 through the season. It's very difficult. Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, Neil. We're going to struggle to get that formula next season because we haven't been good playing twice a week. The Europa League is supposed to be that kind of, nurturing thing to establish to a manager. How do I play 2 times a week? How do I keep the rotation going? And how do I keep the energy levels going? And we've not been able to do that. We've not been good at it. And so all the other teams can do that. And
but what you do is you give your more inexperienced players and your more youthful players, you give them a competition, and that takes away some of the emphasis on the amount of games that your main players are playing, right? So like the League Cup, for example, you leave that to the youth. It gives them experience, right? Because the whole thing about making your team stronger is that you have to give experience to all your players, right? If you're constantly playing the same 11, right, the second 11 aren't getting many games, they're not getting much experience. So you give them a competition that you can afford to say, do you know what? We don't really care if we win that or not. You give it to them. That's giving them experience because they're playing against all forms of teams, all forms of players, and they're getting that experience in. And if they go and win it, that's a bonus. Yeah, and that's how you have to play it. No team out there can say they've got, other than City and Chelsea, I suppose, can say they've got enough squads to play in all competitions, especially if they're in Europe. They can't. They have to make sacrifices somewhere along the line. Yeah. And yes, you guys might struggle if you don't bring in more players in the summer. You might struggle if you're trying to keep the same consistency across all competitions. That's if you want to make sure you get as far as you can in all competitions. Other than that, you have to sacrifice 1 or 2 competitions. Yeah, and focus on the ones that you
I agree.
really want.
I want to say a big shout out to Rich Poe. Rich Poe saying, "Evening, gents. Fascinating show. I'm trying to gauge our temperature as Arsenal fans. Should we be cool, hot, cold in our post-season deliberations?" Well, you've probably seen the video that I uploaded on the channel today, and it was really talking about how some fans are really trying to celebrate and enjoy the season. And I hope we do that this weekend when the final game comes, and I hope that we're all going to be there to give the team a standing ovation for the effort that they've put in for this season and how much they've grown. But there are some fans, a section of fan base.
I just don't get. Sorry, I just don't get why that is a question. You guys have had the best season you've had for a very long time. You should stay on the high.
Yeah, it's a question because it's a question because he's been reading what's been going on in the fan base over the last week or so, and
no,
you know, we just had T on here, and and it's a different level. So some fans are obviously not happy. It's not the majority. I would say it's a minority of fans are not happy. But, you know, I said it in my video today, and I'll say it again here. What's important is how you feel about the season. And what you can't do is not let anybody spoil that for you. Go in, you know, if you have enjoyed the season and you're elated and you can see the improvements of squads made, and you cannot wait. Look at me. Look at my background. I can't wait for the Champions League music to come in the Emirates. I haven't heard it in 6 years. So I'm elated. I'm happy. I'm going to be seeing Champions League football next season at the Emirates Stadium, and I'm going to be enjoying every minute of it. So that's me. But for someone else who might not think that way, you got to respect that that's their view, and you got to leave them to their misery, to be honest. Yeah, you got to leave them to it, because you know they wanted to put themselves through the expectations that we gave them. We showed them we were capable of doing, but we wasn't able to follow through with it. And then says, I'm a big advocate of the simple mantra: after 38 games, teams finish where they deserve. Apollo, you're bang on the money, and much of your mindset, squad depth, and trusted in rotation will be the key. Yep. And remember, not just the players, but the manager as well, and the technical director, and Josh Kroenke, the man who's in charge. We're all learning at the same level. We're all growing at the same level. We came from nothing 3-4 years ago, and we've come to where we are now with brand new leaders in every single place. Josh Kroenke, after his father ran the team and didn't really run the team, Josh Kroenke has been hands-on. He's been putting money into this machine, and without him, we wouldn't be in this position. Edu, first-time technical director, no experience at all. He's gone out there and worked wonders with the transfer market. I think he's a little bit, you know, he needs to spread his repertoire outside of Brazil and Manchester City a little bit, because I think he's digging in those ponds a bit too much. But then if you're taking champions from champions, I ain't got an argument with that. Arteta, completely inexperienced, never managed before. The same thing applies. And then the youngest team in the league. So we can all see that they're all growing and marching at the same pace as each other. So that's what I like, because if you look at what's going on elsewhere, Chelsea have just taken someone who failed at Spurs. This is Chelsea. This is a team that spent over $500 million last summer. Have brought in a manager who failed at Tottenham. Is that what we're talking about?
Come on, look. Todd Bowley doesn't know what he's doing, and clearly he should step back and let the football people do the football stuff. That's what he should do.
Yeah, this isn't about Todd Bowley. This is about the lack of options Chelsea, out there. Look at Spurs.
Yeah, but Chelsea
don't even. Yeah, my point was, Neil, I'm not sure whether you understood my point. My point was that if Arsenal were to change managers or something else, my point is that who's out there? Who is out there? I mean, Spurs can't even find a manager yet. Nobody wants to manage them. Now they're talking about Graham Potter, who failed at Chelsea. So where are your options, Tony?
So, as again, something I talked about on the Cannon Fodder pod this evening, there are loads of great managers out there in the ether. If you really did your due diligence and you looked across Europe, you would find there are a plethora of good managers sitting at home on their couch waiting for the call, likes of Nagelsmann. Yeah, it's just what it is. You know, things have changed hugely in the world of football in a very short period of time. We, a couple of years ago, were afraid of this imminent thing called the European Super League. And lo and behold, we now have the English Super League. We literally sit as a country sitting atop of every other country in the whole of Europe and probably in the whole of the world, able to spend money that other clubs are just incapable of spending. If you took the sum total of what English clubs spend from the Premier League only on European transfers, no other country comes close.
You don't even need to say Premier League. You just need to say Chelsea
Chelsea
this season.
on
Just
their
Chelsea
own.
alone on their own.
And let's not get it twisted. What Chelsea have just done will be replicated by Man United, will be replicated by Newcastle. Teams like Brighton can spend money. Hell, look how many players Nottingham Forest brought in. Now they've secured safety. Guess what they're going to be doing with their newfound wealth? Because they got a lot of players on loan. They're going to need to do something. So these are trying times, and Apollo knows better than most. I hate the transfer window. I hate it with a passion. I literally put headphones on and say, do what you got to do and come and talk to me at the beginning of September when the business is done and the transfer window is closed. Because I feel like this summer is going to be a matters. We are going to see astronomical sums of money that we have never seen before. Because guess what? Newcastle are in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Their owners have just been waiting to pull the trigger. They know full well we couldn't because we needed to play fair play, financial fair play. But now we got the money guaranteed. Guess what we can do? Yeah. So, it's Arsenal have done well, but unfortunately, the job is only half done. Half. I'd like to say that where we're at is a fantastic position, but it really is only half done because we've only put ourselves in a shop window to players now. That's what we've done. We put ourselves in a shop window to players. We now need to go and invest and bring in the world-class players that will allow us to compete again with Man City, bearing in mind they're in a position to strengthen themselves. Don't think for 1 minute, we won the Champions League, we won the treble, we don't need to buy anybody. Oh, hell no. If they can go and buy another player for 100 million and strengthen even better, they'll do it.
Yeah, they did. They bought the best striker in the world last summer.
Right.
So I just want to answer this question here.
Liverpool done well to go from where they were to eke out 5th place. They're going to want to strengthen sufficiently to be able to get back in the Champions League and try and mount another title challenge.
Especially across midfield. Yeah. All we need to do is sort out midfield.
Yeah. But Liverpool have had one of the strongest ends the end of the season.
There are loads of good managers out there.
The problem with the managers, sorry, I was going to say the problem with the managers is everybody's looking at the same names, right? Like they're the only managers out there. As I agree with Tony, there are two managers out there that are good enough. They're sitting there waiting for that phone call. But
let's get into that because this is what I want to answer on this question. And Neil, Tony, if Klopp was to leave tomorrow, who would you bring in to replace him? Tony, if Arteta was to leave tomorrow, who would you bring in to replace him? The question, the answer that I would go for, if I was going to replace Arteta tomorrow, I would do it with Hansi Flick. I would bring in him from ex-Bayern Munich manager, manages Germany now. I would bring in Hansi Flick to be Arsenal's manager. That would be my choice. Neil?
Do you know, I've never thought about this, to be honest, because I've never thought about Klopp leaving.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'm trying to think of a name that you wouldn't normally hear.
Tony said there's loads of names out there, man. You got plenty.
I'm about to read you 10. I'm gonna give you 10.
Joachim Low. What was it? Ex-German.
Let me give you 10. Let me give you 10
whatever his name is. That's the one. That's the one.
No, you just need one, Tony.
Oh no, but let me give you 10 names of managers sitting on a couch right now. Andre Villas-Boas.
But would you want them to manage Arsenal?
Hang on. Let me drop and then we'll carry on. Rafael Benitez. Yeah. No. Marcelo Bielsa. Graham Potter. Brendan Rodgers. Luis Enrique. Julian Nagelsmann, Mauricio Pochettino, Antonio Conte, Zinedine Zidane.
What about the ex-Wolves manager? What was his name? He went to Tottenham.
So you see what I'm saying?
No, I don't. I definitely don't.
No. There are managers out there. No, there are managers out there. And what you've also got to remember is that not every manager is going to do great at every club they go to. Yeah, because it's down to the players that they've got and the finances that's available.
Yeah.
You can only do what you can.
I don't
with
like
those
that
players.
list at all, Tony, man. Yeah, I think when Tony was answering the question,
don't forget Frank Lampard's going to be available soon. Yeah, Graham Potter.
I think when Tony was answering the question and he was saying there's loads of good managers out there, I think he was talking about when Man United was looking for a manager and ended up getting Ten Hag. That was a brilliant move, a fantastic, proven domestic manager.
But he wasn't available. He wasn't available at the time as such. He chose to go to United because he's in a job. Tony's talking about managers that aren't in a job.
Yeah.
Because everybody.
But that would be my idea of a good, find somebody who's a winner, find someone who's young, fresh ideas. A lot of the guys on those lists,
Joachim Low.
He's the one that I would go for.
I think that's the one Neil mentioned.
Yeah, that's the one I would go for. But as long as he doesn't keep touching his balls, then that's fine.
Because guys, because some of the names, it's like the Sam Allardyce thing. It's like you don't want to be tried and tested over methods and philosophies that have failed over a time or that are outdated. The good thing about a Ten Hag or an Arteta and this is what we found out about Graham Potter is how does your philosophies work? Do they have transferable skills over to turn a new leaf over another side? We don't want you to just come in here and manage the team. We want you to come in here and inspire men. We want you to bring the fan. What Arteta did goes unsaid. He's brought the fans back to the stadium. That was when he walked through the door. The first thing he said, "I want to bring the fans back." That's the first thing he said. It's more than just what the players doing on the team.
But when you look at Potter, he had control at Brighton with the players coming in, all that sort of stuff, right? So he had a lot of influence, and they did well. That wasn't the case when he came to Chelsea. He was just filling the space. He had nothing to do with the players, nothing to do with the players coming in, right? He was just told manage. Yeah, it's very difficult when you don't find the players that you haven't got the players that you want, because you come in with a plan and certain players that will fit that plan. But when the players are already there, you're trying to shoot a horn, put them into a jigsaw that may not fit. Whereas when you're bringing players that are going to fit that jigsaw exactly how you want it, and then the team moves and plays a lot better that way. Potter didn't stand a chance, to be honest. I felt sorry for him, to be honest.
The same could be said about Mikel Arteta coming to Arsenal. Let's be honest, we took an intern manager at Arsenal over a plethora of proven winners.
Yeah, well, obviously your owners had an idea and thought he would fit better than the other managers out there.
Why?
I don't know. You have to ask your owners. I don't know. I had nothing to do with it. Yeah, nothing to do.
And that's why
it's all about that vision, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of the
it's all about that vision.
Yeah, I mean, it's a vision, but look, Unai Emery is up for manager of the season this year. We had him. And he's a proven winner.
Well,
yeah, we took a proven winner and hired an intern.
Yeah, but we did. I mean, there are a lot of reasons because of that. Some because of what Neil was talking about. Like he didn't have no control here. All the poison that was going on with Raul Sanelli and those dodgy dealings and things like that, which led to the Pepe deal and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't allowed to manage here. But yeah, he's a very decorated manager. The problem is it was untenable. Half the stadium was empty, and they from a business standpoint, they just couldn't do that. But Arteta's brought all those people back to the stadium, and for me, 16 years, This is the best fan experience I've ever had at the Emirates Stadium. It has been a pleasure for me to sit there and watch the energy in the stadium. When we go 1-0 down, or if we have a player sent off with a red card, the fans are given standing ovations and support. I've never seen this level of support. I've always seen it at Liverpool. I've watched the Green Bay Packers fans, and I've watched some. There are some teams that will die for their fans, and I've never ever seen that in Arsenal fans until this season.
That's because your team is actually giving the fans what they want.
Mm.
Yeah,
and that's all you need to do. You just
little tiny things.
No, but that's what it is. I mean, to be honest,
little tiny things like
every fan wants their team to win the league, right? But leading up to that, they want that feedback from the players. They want to see the players trying as hard as they can. They want to see everything positive coming from the players, even if they lose the game. That's what they want. As soon as the fans start getting that, you have less of that discord between fans and players. It's more of a family type environment. Yeah, it's when you get the players that are big-headed, they think they're better than the club. They start doing their own thing. They're not playing as a team. They've got a bad attitude. Yeah. That's when you see the fans kicking off against the team. Yeah, so it's all about that harmony. If you've got the harmony from the fans to the team, it's going to be a great atmosphere. And that's all the fans really want, other than after winning everything. Yeah, that's what they want.
So I just want to say, guys, there's a question here. Guys, question, love or the stick for Arsenal squad next... love or the stick for Arsenal squad next season. Look at how Guardiola called out KDB publicly, bench Foden, Mahrez, Silva. What's your preference? Yeah, I think we all know hand on heart that Arteta loves his squad probably a little bit too much. And next season, he's going to have to... You can't play Saka for 38 games. You can't do it. Yeah, but you're going to have to be able to find that balance. And he definitely hasn't been able to find that balance. And challenge some of your players. I know we challenged Odegaard. He challenged Odegaard at the beginning of this season.
Yeah, but that's what a manager needs to do, though. A manager needs to let the players know, look, I'm the parent, you are the child. Yeah, you do what I want. But you've also, at the same time, they've got to work together. Yeah, and that's what Pep's doing. Pep is pulling out these players. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to talk about the relegation, because really that's the only thing that's exciting in the last week of this season. You know,
that's been exciting for the past 4 weeks, mate. For the past 4 weeks, at least, it's a relegation, man. It's a relegation, man. Yeah. You think about it.
I mean, when you look at the top six.
Yeah, but if you look at Go on. I was going to say, if you look at Leicester, Leeds, and Everton, they've all won the league at one time. Yeah, and yet those three teams are struggling to stay in the league. And the thing is, it's gone down to the last game. If Everton win, we know they're safe and the other two go down. But if they draw and one of the other two win, or they're going down. It's that. Oh man, it's brilliant. It's better than a soap, mate. It's better than a soap.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting rid of my background, guys, because I think my background was lagging. I think it was causing me.
It does make the final day worth watching when you know there's something to play for between 3 games. So you know that Super Sunday is going to have periods where you're going to see the table with one team down. And then the goals get scored, and the next team goes up. So it does make for entertaining.
But which game do you watch? Which game are you going to watch, though?
Yeah,
that's the thing. Which one? Oh, yeah. I want to watch the Everton game because I want to see them lose. That's what I want.
Right,
but
let's go around the table. Let's go around the table. Tony, 2 of them's going down. 1 is staying up. Who's your pick? I think we really need to talk about who they're playing. So Everton is playing Bournemouth.
Yep. They've got the easiest team, haven't they? They've got the easiest team because Leeds have got
Bournemouth on holiday.
Yeah. Leicester City's playing West Ham at home.
Oh, that's at West Ham. Sorry. Who have Leeds got? Sorry, is that Newcastle?
And Leeds have got Tottenham at home.
Tottenham.
Yeah, still no manager Tottenham.
To be honest, if you look at that, Everton should really get a win, right? And if they win, it doesn't matter what the other results are.
Yeah.
Which is why it's the game to watch.
Yeah.
It's why it's the game to watch.
Yeah.
By the way, Everton goal difference -24.
It's less, isn't it? Yeah, it's less than Leicester.
Yeah, Leicester -18, Leeds -27. So, so even if Everton draw, that still doesn't save them.
No, they have to win. They've got no choice. They have to win. Yeah, and hope. Home. Yeah, to guarantee staying up, they have to win.
I think they're going to win.
I think I don't want to say it, and I hate saying it because I want to see them go down. But I want to see, to be honest, out of the three, I want to see Leicester survive. That's the team I want to see survive out of the three teams.
Oh God.
It's going to be good, though. It's going to be good. Who do you think, Follow?
Well, I think Leicester's going to win, but I want Leeds to survive. I've got a lot of Leeds fans. Fans.
Yeah, but the thing is, if Leeds and Leicester both win, Leicester stay up. Leeds are the ones who are in the worst position at this moment in time when you're looking at other results. Yeah? If Leicester or Everton win, if one of those two win, Leeds aren't staying up.
So I want Leeds to win for two reasons. One, because I've got so much Leeds friends. A lot of them follow this channel and watch this show, actually. But the other second reason is because it's against Tottenham. So, the other reason is because it's against Tottenham. And if Brentford win, then Tottenham fall down to 9th in the table.
Yeah, to be honest, right? The way Spurs have been playing in their past few games, Leeds stand a very good chance of winning that if Tottenham keep that form up. Leeds stand a good chance of winning that. But then again, as I said, if Everton or Leicester also win, if all three teams win, Everton stay up.
Yeah, I think it would be. I can't believe Arsenal let Nottingham Forest win last week. But look, I think Everton are going to stay up. I think it will probably stay the same. But I would love it if Leeds avoided the drop.
For them to do it, Everton and Leicester both have to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Leeds are definitely looking at other results. They need the results to go their way. Everton don't need results to go their way. They just need to win their game.
Yeah, it's in their hands. Tony?
I just want Everton to get relegated. I don't care.
Same here.
Yeah, I don't really care about the other two. I mean, the interesting thing is there is another thing in play which you haven't mentioned, which is the Conference League. Because we all know that is a poison chalice for some clubs. Some clubs do that. I think Aston Villa would love to be in the Conference League. I think Brentford would love to be in the Conference League. I don't think Spurs want any part of the Conference League next season.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're playing Leeds.
Yeah, I want Spurs to get in the Conference League, though.
That's my point.
Yeah, I want them to go. I love it.
It's a catch-22.
Yeah. It's like when you're at school and you're naughty and you just get sent to the sin bin. That conference league is like the sin bin.
You have someone like Mr. English there, yeah?
Yeah. Send them. It's almost you can't make this stuff up, can you? Just send them into banishment. Send them into purgatory, man. Just banish them. Oh, it's just too good. How could life be like this? This is the first time you finished above your hated rivals, and not only you finish above them, but you're 24 points higher than them. That can't be right. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it can be. Remember, you guys were winning the league for so long.
So you finished 24 points above Spurs. I mean, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing for Spurs.
Maybe that's why Andy really didn't want to come on tonight. Yeah.
Hey man. Hey, it's I'm loving it. I really am. But but so that's the only thing that's really exciting for this last week, and it's going to be very exciting. But I think I'm going to be watching that Everton game. I definitely think I'm going to be watching the Everton game.
Same here as well. But
So,
I'm going to be watching my phone, just trying to catch the other teams to see what they're doing at the same time.
Yeah. Guys, we are going to have an end of the season show next week where we're just going to really sort of cover off everything and kind of go through. I think the best thing we would do is talk about every team. It might be too early. No, I don't think it's too early. I think what we'll do is we'll grade each team's season. We've done the grading before. We did the grading halfway through. So that's something we like to play a little bit. I did it about a month ago as well when I talked about where the expectations were. But I think we'll do an end of the season one, and then we can take it from there. But guys, anything else you want to talk about tonight?
Yes, please. So I'm wearing this shirt for a particular reason because today is a very historical day. Just in case you forgot, this is a day treasured by all Arsenal fans. It is commonly called St. Michael Thomas Day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Neil.
In case you didn't remember.
Even though we got him afterwards, which was too late by then, we should have got him that season, man. Then you lot wouldn't have done it. Yeah. All right. What's the next topic? Yeah, move along.
Oh my God! Look at that teletext or Oracle. CFAX.
The CFAX.
Oh
that
my
one.
God, CFAX.
Yeah.
A couple of quickies. Arsenal look like they're closing in on Declan Rice.
Oh, I did get a text this morning from Colin at the training ground saying Arsenal actually wanting to go in there with that 90 million bid, which is lower than what West Ham want. But West Ham apparently came out today and said that they would take less than what they first demand. You know what, Tony? We're offering 90. They want 120. They're probably going to have to meet somewhere in the middle. It's going to be that kind of thing. So I'm expecting it. I don't want it to go on too long because you can't sit on it.
I think the major problem is you don't want other teams to start getting involved in a bidding war.
There is that, but there's also the fact that he's already sorted personal terms out with Arsenal, and for someone else to come in there, he doesn't want to leave London, so that only leads Chelsea. Are you going to move from? West Ham finished 14th. Chelsea finished 2 places above you. Is that really your?
Yeah.
Is that where you are for your life? You want to go to a team in 12th place? So I think we all know he wants to go to Arsenal. That's dead set. West Ham are honouring him. We heard this happen with Zaha, where there was this gentleman's agreement where you can go at the end of the season, and then they doubled his value from 40 million to 80 million, and no one's going to pay you 80 million for Zaha. And literally, there's been poison since he's been at Palace within that time because they didn't keep their word. West Ham seem to be keeping their word.
Cool. Talking about Palace, this may be the last game this weekend for Roy Hodgson. Look, this is a guy who deserves his plaudits and his flowers.
Yeah.
He's been a superb stalwart of the English game. To think he's still doing what he does, amazing. So flowers to Roy Hodgson.
Oh Lord.
Just confirming Granit Xhaka, it looks like we're getting closer to that final. This could be his final game, so it could, I think it'll be very emotional for him. Love him or hate him, and I know you're not the greatest fan, Apollo, but you know what? He's been there a long time. Farewell to the young man. And lastly, this one's for Neil. Alexis McAllister also expected to bid farewell to his team, with Liverpool being front runners to complete that business. What's your thoughts, Neil?
The one thing, put it this way, yes, we need players like that because you know those positions in our team aren't that great at this moment in time. We've got a few players going. The one thing that you do know with Liverpool is that they always try and do their business early. So as soon as that window opens, within the first 2 weeks, they would have done all their business, and then that will be it. So yeah,
Interesting.
He's on his way. He's on his way. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. This, if I'm not mistaken, Apollo, please correct me, but is this going to be the shortest off season I've ever seen? Because when you consider there's 2 England games, which basically means everybody in Europe is playing a friendly for 2 England games after the season finisher, after the Champions League game, taking you well into June, and I'm already scheduled to be at the SoFi Stadium on July 26th to see Arsenal play Barcelona in a preseason friendly in America. And they actually are playing the MLS All-Stars the week before that. So the gap is like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's short.
Yeah, it's 3 weeks. And when you consider that there's still some players who aren't fit, and then Martinelli, who they said to him, it's 5-6 weeks, which means he won't even make preseason in July at this stage. Yeah, it's going to be a really, really short break. And if you pull a hamstring now or anything to that effect, it's a problem, man. I mean, you're talking about preseason gives you the ability to hit the come out of the blocks, hit the ground running, and you now have Saliba, Tomiyasu's not 100% back. Martinelli. You're now talking about like 3 or so guys who is not going to be ready for preseason, and it's a problem. Yeah, it's a major problem in the World Cup. From what we know, what happened just before Christmas, some guys, and then the Euros before that after COVID, which was late. There are some players like Saka who hasn't rested for 2 or 3 years. They've not had a break at all. That's mad. Saka got 6 days holiday last season. 6 days.
6 days. Is that it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
And so he's lucky he's picked up this knock in a way inadvertently because it does kind of mean, you know what, I don't have to go report for England duty. So I'm actually on my jollies now. I can be lying on a beach for the next month and a half.
Yeah.
There was a thing with Liverpool that whenever an England game came up, their players mysteriously got injured and didn't go to. It was so funny. Every time a player got injured, you knew an England game was coming up.
Yeah.
And it always happened in training.
Yeah, it's a good question from Rich Pearl. He says, there's an elephant in the room that no one's speaking about. What do you want or expect from Arsenal back in the Champions League? A nasty shock for us or our opponents? I've got to be really honest with you. I don't think we're good enough to sustain the Premier League and the Champions League yet. Then that's because I haven't seen our squad for next season. Once I see the squad and the players coming in, then I'll be able to ascertain where my heart and mind is. But at the moment, yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, look.
And the other thing, sorry, Paulo, the other thing that I 100% have to back what you just said as well. Until you know what we're dealing with by way of a squad, you have no idea what we present in the Champions League. The other thing is you don't know until you see your group.
Yeah. Because
I don't know if you're aware of it, but we are now in pot 2.
Oh yeah.
We're in pot 2.
Yeah.
Because Juventus got deducted points, and as a result, they've been pulled down. So we're now, we could potentially have the group of death.
Yeah, it's not good, guys. I looked at that pot the other day, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me? Is it? Was Bayern Munich? It was in there as well, weren't they?" I mean, that's just incredible, man. I don't know. It could be.
It's an experience thing. You guys are back in Champions League, right? If you do what you did this season, next season, and the season after, then Champions League will be a regular thing. you just use this season or next season, I should say, as a learning and experience thing for your squad. That's all you can do right now.
Mm.
Yeah, you got a lot of players who never played in Champions League. It's their first time. It's going to be overwhelming the first few games, the group games anyway. You know what?
Yeah,
They'll
I
learn.
mean, we could potentially be in a group with Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, or Paris Saint-Germain, or two of those teams.
Well, don't worry about PSG, man. PSG they don't do that well anyway in Champions League, do they?
You can't discount a team like that, Neil. Not when you got a player called Mbappe in the team. Come on, let's
Dude,
keep it up.
I'm not even.
Listen.
Yeah,
I don't watch them a lot, but the games I've watched them during their league against some of the teams they're playing, you guys have nothing to worry about because you're better than the opposition they play week in, week out. And
you know, even though they discount them because of their opposition.
I don't think they're that impressive, to be honest. I'm just not. I'm more impressed with Real Madrid and Bayern Munich than PSG. PSG should have won the Champions League at least once with the money and the players that they've got. They should have won it at least once, and they've come nowhere close to winning it.
Yeah.
Season in, season out, they've come nowhere close to winning it. So going against you guys, right? It would be great experience for your players, but I really don't think they're much of a threat to the way you guys have played and the way they've played. I would say if I didn't know the two teams, and know the leagues and just saw both teams play, I would have said Arsenal would have been the best team because you lot play better as a squad. They've just got stars, and if those stars do not perform, which they don't do every game, the team is very ordinary considering they're an expensive set of players.
So there's a good question down here from Richpo. Richpo says, man, Victor is beating Arteta and Cam sees Declan Rice as a proverbial savior. Who is closer to reality? Well, it's got to be Cam and Declan Rice because this guy, do you know, the last 2 seasons, he's only 24 years old, right? In the last 2 seasons, he's led the league in duels won and passes intercepted. That's insane. And I was looking at this stat last week. Do you know he started 36 games for West Ham this season? 36. He's only missed 1 game. That's nuts. People talk about Xhaka as an Iron Man and don't miss games. He started more games than Xhaka. He's the real deal, guys. He's the real deal. I can promise you that he's the real deal. He's gonna change up whatever we're doing, whatever Arteta's got in store for us. He can change it up a lot. I'm really looking forward to it. I wasn't the biggest fan. He wasn't my number 1 choice. I would have liked Caicedo, but in the last 2 weeks, I've watched Caicedo play. I've watched his last 3 games. He ain't worth 70 million. I mean, we know that he was only bought for 4 million last season. He ain't worth 70 million, guys. I'm sorry.
It's decent right back.
He's only worth what a team is willing to pay, and that's what I said earlier.
And we were willing to pay 70. Chelsea, who don't care how much they're paying for players, pulled out after 55 million. Chelsea went, 55 million. Brighton said no, and they was like, we're good.
Yeah, but did Chelsea really need him? Chelsea were just buying players for the sake of buying players, man.
Yeah, Chelsea.
That's something that was Todd Bowley, isn't it?
Yeah, Chelsea didn't want Arsenal to have him. That's basically what it was all about.
Yeah, Todd Bowley goes, I've got a load of money. I'm going to buy players. I'm not even going to ask the names. You just suggest a name and I'll buy that player. And that's all he was doing. He was just buying player after player after player. Has it improved the squad? Hell no. Will Chelsea finish where they did this season, next season? Hopefully they will. And that shows that money can't buy you love.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Big up to 18 in the house.
Hey.
They're saying signing by Ed by any means necessary. Victor saying he ain't good enough, stubborn and clueless at 70 million. Worked with Pep and nothing near to show how Pep manages this season. I think he might be talking about Arteta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, all right, guys. I'm
I'm
exhausted.
knackered. Right.
Yeah. So, guys, listen. Thank you for joining us. We had fun tonight, man. It's
Yeah.
always fun talking
I
football with
suppose
these
you weren't.
guys.
I suppose you weren't going to go over the scores for the weekend.
I looked at them and I just thought none of the games mean anything except for the relegation battles. You know, they really don't mean anything except the relegation battles.
That's true. Most people
You
are
know.
going to be watching. Most people know where their team's going to end up, but nobody knows who's going to go down. And I think most people will be watching those games to see who actually goes down out of the three.
Yeah, and tomorrow we're getting together. We're meeting in Camden Town at 1 o'clock. We're gonna go and get a bit of lunch, and then we're gonna drive down to the Emirates Stadium and just shoot a couple of fun videos. We're gonna think of some topics. Probably look at all the new artwork out there, and we're gonna give our thoughts and record a couple of videos on the season and what our thoughts are. Yeah, it'd be fun, man. There'll be probably 4 or 5 of us going down there. Are you coming, Tony? You going to be there?
Yeah. I'll be there.
Yeah. So we'll have a bit of fun tomorrow. But yeah, guys, it's just enjoying the last week, man. Enjoying the last week. Be thankful of what you've achieved, because nobody said that we were going to be where we were. And quite frankly, I'm blessed. I am so blessed to be an Arsenal fan right now.
It's positive. What happened with you guys this season is a positive. It's not a negative thing. You've done. I wouldn't say you've overachieved, because that means that you weren't going to do well in the first place. At the beginning of the season, nobody knows what team, apart from City, nobody knows where every other team's going to come. And what you guys done, you've done well.
I do want to say, though, guys, I do want to say that you have to be careful who you're talking to, because there were some guys who wanted Arsenal to fail from the get-go because they just cannot get over the manager.
You talking about Arsenal fans? You talking about Arsenal fans?
I'm talking about Arsenal fans, yeah.
That's terrible, man.
It is, but that's the reality of it, and we have to live with that reality every day. T is not one of those, by the way. He made it very clear. He's not Arteta out. You know, he's just being subjective, and he's got every right to be. But we do know from our own forum and what we see on Twitter and everywhere else, we do know that there were some people who were never on board. Some of these people actually said that even if Wenger won a title in his latter days, that they would still want him out of the club. So you just got a section of fans that's always going to be like that. Yeah, that's the reality, man. That's how it is. So, guys, listen, have a great weekend, and we will catch up with you soon with a lot of content. Peace, guys. Right back at you, man. Have a good weekend.
Have a good one, people. Have a good weekend. Go.